The Grand Council chamber on Meridian Station stretched before Commander Price like a cathedral built for giants. The walls rose so high that the ceiling disappeared into darkness above. Had seen many impressive places in his life, but nothing compared to this. The chamber was designed to make visitors feel small. It worked. Walked beside his team through the massive doors. Dr. Lisa Warren moved with calm confidence, her eyes scanning everything. Behind them came Sophie Hayes' 8-year-old daughter. She held her father's hand and looked up at everything with wonder. Other members of the human delegation followed, each dressed in formal dark uniforms bearing the flag of Earth. The council members sat on raised platforms around the chamber. Each platform held a different alien species. To the left stood the tall creatures with blue skin and 4 arms. They had evolved on a high-gravity planet and looked like they were carved from stone. To the right sat the beings of crystalline structure that caught light and threw rainbow patterns across their surroundings. Between them were platforms for dozens of other species. Each one was different. Each one was watching the humans arrive. Felt hundreds of eyes on him and his team. Some eyes were curious, some were cold, some showed interest, some showed nothing at all. He had prepared for this moment for months. He knew that humanity's future in the galaxy depended on what happened in this chamber over the next few days. Sophie squeezed his hand. She was nervous but trying to be brave, squeezed back and gave her a small nod. They reached the center of the chamber and stopped. A voice echoed through the space, speaking in perfect English translated by the station's universal systems. Welcome, human delegation, from the planet Earth. You have been granted an audience with the Galactic Council to present your case for full membership in the Union. Stepped forward. Thank you for this opportunity. Earth is ready to join the community of civilized worlds. The voice continued with the formal procedures. Sophie sat down beside her father on a bench provided for the delegation. She was very small in this enormous space. She fidgeted with her hands and looked around at all the strange beings around her. The chamber made even a child look tiny. From one of the upper platforms, a stood up. His name was, he was older than the other, his blue skin marked with white scars from countless conflicts. His 4 eyes fixed on the human delegation. When he moved, his muscles rippled beneath his skin. I have read the submission of Earth, said. His voice was deep and cut through the chamber like a blade. I have reviewed your history and your technology. I have questions about your worthiness to join us. I welcome your questions, replied calmly. Descended from his platform and walked into the center of the chamber. His footsteps made the floor echo. He was more than 3 meters tall. Standing before him, realized how small humans must look to beings like this. Your planet is young, began. Your species is young. You have only recently developed space travel. You have never conquered another world. You have never built an interstellar empire. You have not even unified your own planet under one government. Tell me, human, why should we trust you with the responsibilities of Union membership? Had prepared for this. Our youth is not a weakness. It means we are flexible. We learn quickly. We have learned more in the last 100 years than we learned in all our previous history. We have solved problems that older civilizations said were impossible. We have united many different groups of humans from different cultures into a working partnership for space exploration. But you are still primitive, another council member said. This was Aura, a reptilian being covered in scales. Her voice hissed like steam escaping from a pipe. Your weapons are weak, your ships are small, your science is basic. Our science is basic compared to your own, yes, admitted. But we are willing to learn. We come here not as conquerors, but as students. We want to share knowledge and form real partnerships with your worlds. Made a sound that might have been laughter. It was not a pleasant sound. Students. Yes, that is what you are. Children, really. You have not even learned how to control your own nature. Your planet still has wars. You still kill each other over resources and ideas. As do all civilizations, said quietly. Even advanced ones, but we have chosen to stop. We have come together as one species, and we decided to reach for the stars instead of reaching for weapons. An older council member from the platform spoke. His name was Ambassador. His voice was gentle. The human position seems reasonable. Many advanced species began where Earth begins. We should give them fair consideration. Dismissed this with a wave of his upper right hand. They always trust too easily. They will believe any story told by any creature that comes before them. That is why they have been conquered so many times in their history. His crystalline form turned a shade darker, showing anger, but he said nothing more. The hearing continued for another hour, answered questions about Earth's military strength, Earth's technology, Earth's culture. He spoke about human art, music, and literature. He explained that humans had creativity that others said was rare. He talked about human cooperation and how humans could work together to solve problems that seemed impossible. Sophie listened to everything. She did not understand much of it, but she understood that her father was talking about their home. She was proud of him. She watched the different aliens and tried to remember their shapes and colors. After a while, Sophie became restless. She shifted in her seat. She wanted to draw something. She had brought paper and colored pencils, saw her fidgeting, and whispered to her, "You can walk around a little if you want. Stay close to me." Sophie nodded and got up. She walked slowly around the chamber, looking at all the different beings. She had never seen anything like them. On Earth, everyone looked basically the same. Here there were beings made of crystal, beings made of stone, beings with scales and beings with fur, and beings that seemed to be made of light itself. She found a quiet corner and started to draw. She drew with their 4 arms. She drew and their rainbow glow. She drew the reptilian counselors and the strange floating beings that seemed to have no solid form at all. Her drawings were simple, but they captured something true about each species. They showed not just how the beings looked, but something about their nature. Noticed her drawing. He came over and looked down at her paper. Sophie looked up at him with her innocent child's face. She was not afraid because she did not understand that she should be. "What are you doing, little creature?" asked. "I am drawing you," Sophie said. "You look interesting." Looked at her drawing. It showed him with his 4 arms and his strong body, but it also showed something else. It showed that she saw him as just another being in this chamber, not as a great counselor, not as someone to be feared, just as something to be drawn and understood. For a moment said nothing. Then he made that laughing sound again, but this time it had something cold in it. "Your daughter draws what little minds produce," he said to, primitive scribbling from a primitive creature. Felt something rise in him, but he controlled it. He kept his face calm. "She is 8 years old," said. "She draws what she sees, just as any child of any species would." "Yes," said, "and that is exactly the problem with humans. You are children. All of you are children playing with toys you do not understand." He turned away and walked back to his platform. The council voted to continue the hearing the next day. The delegation was dismissed, took Sophie's hand and led her out of the chamber. As they walked through the corridors of Meridian Station, Sophie asked her father a question. "Father, why did that blue man not like my drawing?" The second day in the Grand Council chamber felt different from the first. Could sense it the moment he entered. The air seemed heavier. The council members sat differently. Their body language had changed. Where yesterday there was curiosity, today there was judgment. Led his team to the same position in the center of the chamber. Sophie sat beside him as before. She held a piece of fruit that the station had provided for breakfast. She ate it quietly and looked around. She still did not understand why all these strange beings were here or why they seemed so interested in her family. Stood up before the formal proceedings could even begin. "I have spent the night thinking about what you said yesterday, human," he announced. His voice filled the entire chamber. "I have thought about your claims of unity and cooperation, and I have reached a conclusion. You are not ready. You will never be ready." Stayed calm. "I am interested to hear your reasoning." "Your reasoning is simple," continued. "Your species is too violent. Your history is filled with wars. You have killed millions of your own kind. You have destroyed your environment. You have created weapons of mass destruction and threatened to use them on yourselves. You are unstable. You are dangerous, and you have no place in a civilized union." "Those are historical facts," replied. "But they are not our current reality. Humans have moved beyond that stage. We have unified and chosen a better path." "For now," Aura hissed. "But for how long? How long before your primitive nature resurfaces? How long before you turn on each other again and destroy yourselves? And how long before you turn on us?" Other council members made sounds of agreement. Some of them leaned forward, interested in where this argument would go. Others looked uncomfortable. Ambassador remained still, saying nothing. Took a deep breath. "What you describe is the natural development of any species. All civilizations begin with conflict. All of us have overcome violence. Humans are no different. We deserve the same consideration that you gave to other species when they were at this stage of development." Descended from his platform again, he walked toward with heavy steps. His forearms swung at his sides. His shadow fell across the human delegation like darkness. "No," said, "you are different. You lack the discipline of other species. You lack the restraint that comes from true civilization. You are from and death is what you bring wherever you go." The term was not new to. It referred to planets with harsh conditions where life had to be brutal and strong to survive. Earth fit that definition, but it was being used as an insult now and understood it. "The conditions of our origin do not define our future," said. Ignored him, he turned his attention to Sophie. "Come here, little creature," he said. Sophie looked at her father, nodded. It was a public forum and there was no threat that he could see. Sophie got up and walked toward she was small compared to him. Her head barely reached his waist. "Your father speaks many words," said, "but I see what you truly are. A small, fragile being from a small, fragile species. You could not survive even one rotation cycle on a real world. You would break." Sophie did not understand what he meant. She just looked up at him. "Your weakness is obvious," said, "and your weakness is humanity's weakness. You are all weak." He said more things, each one designed to demean humans and their nature. He talked about their small bodies, their poor eyesight compared to other species. He talked about their dependence on technology to survive. Each word cut deeper than the last. Watched his daughter's face. She was starting to feel uncomfortable. Her hand reached back toward her father. Noticed this gesture and his expression changed. Something dark appeared in his eyes. "She runs to her father," said. "She is afraid. Even this child knows that her species is inferior." Sophie shook her head. "I am not afraid," she said in her small voice. "You are just loud." Several council members made sounds. Some might have been laughter, some might have been shock. His entire body went rigid. "You speak to a member of the Galactic Council with disrespect," he demanded. "I did not mean to be disrespectful," Sophie said. She was just being honest. She was an 8-year-old child speaking the truth as she saw it. "You just have a loud voice." What happened next happened very fast. His upper right hand came up and struck Sophie across the face with tremendous force. The blow was not held back. It was not gentle. It was the full power of a being 3 meters tall and made of muscle and strength. Sophie flew backward through the air. She fell hard to the ground. The chamber exploded into chaos. Was already moving toward his daughter before her body hit the floor. He caught her before she crashed into the hard metal beneath them. Sophie's face was bleeding from a cut on her lip. Her cheekbone was swelling. Her eyes filled with tears from pain and shock. Sophie held her close. "It is okay, I am here." Captain Green was on his feet immediately. His hand moved to the weapon at his side, but raised his free hand sharply. "No," commanded, "do not move." The chamber was silent for a moment. Then it erupted with voices. Some council members were standing, some were shouting, some were frozen in place, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Ambassador's crystalline form turned bright with what seemed like anger or shock. "What have you done?" "I disciplined an insolent creature," said. He was breathing heavily. His forearms flexed at his sides. "That is my right." "It is not your right," another council member said. This was a tall being made of what looked like flowing energy. "You have violated the accords. You have struck a child of another species." Aura hissed. The human child was disrespectful. Discipline was necessary. But many other council members disagreed. The chamber filled with arguments. Some creatures defended, others condemned him. The rules about conduct between species had been broken, and no one was certain what should happen next. Held Sophie and checked her injuries. The cut on her lip was small. The swelling on her cheek would be painful but was not severe. She was more shocked than hurt, but she was hurt nonetheless. "It is okay," whispered to his daughter. "You did nothing wrong. You are not weak. You are brave." Sophie cried into her father's shoulder. Around them, the council chamber continued its chaos, but was not thinking about the arguments anymore. He was thinking about something else entirely. His mind was already working on the next move. His mind was already preparing the response. No one in the galaxy could hurt a human child and expect no consequences. That was something was going to teach them today. The medical bay on Meridian Station was clean and bright. Sophie sat on an examination table while Dr. Lisa Warren checked her injuries. A medical technician stood nearby, offering assistance. The crystals that made up the technician's body reflected the harsh light of the medical equipment. stood beside his daughter. His jaw was clenched. His hands were fists at his sides. Sophie looked small and fragile on the big table. The bruise on her cheek was already turning dark purple. "The injuries are minor," the technician said. "No bones are broken. The cut inside her mouth will heal quickly. You have excellent medical recovery capabilities as a species." "Thank you," said, but his mind was elsewhere. "Sophie," Dr. Warren said gently, "does your face hurt very much?" "It hurts a little," Sophie said. "But I am okay. I do not want to go home yet. Father still has to talk to the council." Knelt down in front of his daughter, he looked into her eyes. "Sophie, we are going to do something important, but first I want you to understand something. What happened in that chamber was not your fault. You did nothing wrong, do you understand?" "The blue man was mean," Sophie said. "I only told him he was loud." "You told him the truth," said, "and that was brave. I am very proud of you." Took photos of Sophie's injuries with his personal device. He documented everything. He uploaded the images to his secure files. Then he made contact with Captain Green through his communication device. "Status," said simply. "All personnel are accounted for and secure in our quarters," Green replied. "What are your orders, sir?" Looked at his daughter one more time. Then he made his decision. "Begin the contingency protocols, quietly. I want no one to know yet." "Understood, I will begin immediately," Green said. Left Sophie with Dr. Warren and made his way through the station's corridors to a private communications room. He locked the door behind him. He activated the secure line that had been established before the delegation even arrived on Meridian. The face of Ambassador appeared on the screen. The crystalline features showed concern. "I witnessed what happened," said. "Has violated every law of conduct. The council is in chaos. Some members have called for his removal. Others defend him." "I need information," said. His voice was steady and cold. "Tell me about what is his history." Hesitated. "That is confidential council information." "He struck a child," said flatly. "Tell me." Seemed to understand that refusing would be pointless. The ambassador began to speak. What he revealed made his hands clench into fists. Had been striking lower-ranking delegates for years. He had hurt a delegation member during a trade negotiation. He had assaulted a scientist who disagreed with him in a council meeting. He had even struck Ambassador but claimed it was an accident caused by a medical condition. Each time had been defended by his allies. Each time the case had been closed quietly. Each time the victim had been told that making a complaint would damage relations between species. "How many times?" asked. "At least 7 documented incidents, possibly more that were never reported," said. "And no one removed him from the council." "His family has political power," explained. "His allies dominate the security committee. There has never been enough support to remove him, and no previous victim has had the resources to fight back. Your species is different." Understood. Humanity was new and weak on the galactic stage, but they were also unified in ways that older species had forgotten. Older species had learned to tolerate injustice because they were tired, or because they were afraid, or because challenging it would cost them politically. Humans were still young enough to believe that some things were worth fighting for. "I am going to need your support," said Tu. "You have it," the replied. "What do you need?" "Information, evidence, documentation of every incident, names of other delegates he has hurt. I want records, I want testimony, I want everything." Nodded. "I will send this information to you through secure channels. It will take a few hours to gather everything." "Send it as soon as you can," said. The connection ended. Sat for a moment in the silence of the communications room. He was thinking about his daughter with her bruised face. He was thinking about all the other delegates who had been hurt by and told to stay quiet. He was thinking about a civilization that would defend such a creature just to maintain political stability. That was going to change. Sent secure messages to several locations. The first went to Earth herself. Earth's military command received a single sentence. "Request authorization for humanitarian intervention on behalf of affected party." The response came back in minutes. "Authorization granted. What do you need?" Sent the coordinates of Meridian Station. He sent the location of every human military vessel in the sector. And then he gave an order that would shake the galaxy. Over the next few hours, 7 human warships began moving toward Meridian Station. They did not broadcast their approach. They did not announce their presence. They simply came, moving at maximum speed. The fastest would arrive in 18 hours. The others would follow in the next 2 days. In his quarters, met with Captain Green. The security chief brought data tablets and holographic displays. They reviewed every piece of information about Meridian Station's defense systems. They analyzed the political structure of the council. They identified which council members might support the humans and which would oppose them. "We are not here for war," told Green. "Remember that. We are here for justice. Our power comes not from weapons, but from showing the galaxy what we will do to protect our own." "Understood, sir," Green said. "But if they try to stop us?" "Then we respond with controlled force," said. "We do not destroy, we do not kill unless we have no choice. We contain, we control, we show discipline. That is what separates a civilized species from a primitive one." That evening, sat with Sophie in their quarters. She was eating dinner and watching a recording of Earth that they had brought with them. It showed the oceans and the mountains and the cities where humans lived. "Father," Sophie asked, "what will happen to the blue man who was mean?" Looked at his daughter. Her bruise had turned darker. Her lip was swollen where the cut ran through it. "He will face justice," said. "He will learn that there are consequences for his actions." "Good," Sophie said simply. "He should not be mean to anyone." Felt something in his chest. Love, anger, determination, pride. Sophie had shown more courage in that chamber than most soldiers ever would. She had faced a being 3 times her size and spoken truth, and now she would see what her father and her entire species would do to protect her. The hours ticked by. In the council chamber, arguments continued about what should be done about the humans. Some wanted to expel the delegation. Others wanted to punish but felt the humans were overreacting. No one realized what was coming. Late in the night, sent one final message. This message was sent to every media outlet controlled by every species in the known galaxy. It contained the video footage of striking Sophie. It contained photos of her injuries. It contained testimony from witnesses and documentation of his previous attacks. The message was simple. The human delegation on Meridian Station was attacked by without provocation. A child was struck. We are requesting justice through the proper channels. If justice is not served, we will take other actions. This is our statement to the galaxy. The video spread like fire through every communication network. Within hours, billions of beings had seen it. They had seen a grown alien strike an innocent child. They had seen her fall. They had seen pick her up. The first human warship appeared on Meridian Station's sensors at 600 hours station time. Captain Green stood in the observation deck and watched it arrive with cold precision. The ship took up position directly between the station and the primary escape route. It did not broadcast any weapon systems. It did not raise shields. It simply moved into place and waited. Within 6 hours, 3 more human warships had arrived. They positioned themselves around the station in a perfect geometric pattern. Each one was equally spaced. Each one was close enough to matter, but far enough to show no immediate aggression. They were a statement written in metal and propulsion systems. The council chambers erupted into panic. "What are they doing?" Aura demanded. "This is an act of war. This is an invasion." "It is no invasion," Ambassador said calmly. "They have made no hostile moves. They have only taken up positions around the station. They are showing presence. They are showing resolve." "They are showing aggression," another council member shouted. "We must order them to leave immediately." But before the council could issue any orders, a message came through. It came directly from Earth. The entire council heard it in real time. The image showed the face of an older human man. His name was General. He was the commander of Earth's military forces. "This is General of Earth," he said. His voice was steady and clear. "A child of our species was attacked without provocation by, that child is my descendant. That attack was an attack on all of humanity. We have come to ensure that justice is served. Our ships will remain here until the following demands are met. First, must be removed from the council and placed in custody. Second, he must face trial for his crimes. Third, he must formally apologize to the victim and to the human delegation. Fourth, Earth must be recognized as a full member of the Galactic Union with all protections and rights granted to other member species. If these demands are not met within 48 hours, we will take further action. We do not seek war, but we will not accept injustice." The message ended. In the council chamber, silence fell like a physical thing. "They are bluffing," Aura said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Humans cannot defeat us. They do not have the military power. No, said, but they have something more powerful than military power. They have unity. They have purpose. And they have made themselves willing to pay any cost to protect their young. That is something we have not seen in 1,000 years. That is something that frightens me more than any weapon. In the quarters where had established the human command center, Captain Green monitored the situation. Military officers moved around him, checking systems and analyzing council responses. Stood apart, holding Sophie's hand. He had told her everything that was happening. She needed to understand. Are we winning? Sophie asked. Knelt down beside her. Winning and losing are not the right words. We are showing them that humans are not what they believe we are. We are showing them that we protect those we love. That is more important than winning. But the blue man will go away, right? Sophie asked. He will not hurt anyone again. He will face justice, promised. That is what this is about. In the delegation quarters was packing. His forearms moved in agitated patterns. His alliance was cracking. Even Aura was starting to distance herself from him. The council members who had defended him just hours earlier were now staying silent. We must do something, demanded of his supporters. We must show strength. We must strike back against these humans. Strike back with what? One of his allies responded. Look at those ships. They are positioned perfectly. If we fire on them, they will fire on the station, on us, on our families, and the humans will be justified in calling it self-defense. Threw one of his 4 fists against the wall. The impact left a dent, but it changed nothing. More hours passed. More human ships arrived. By the 24-hour mark, 6 warships surrounded Meridian Station. Each one was perfectly positioned. Each one was locked onto his personal shuttle in the station's hangar. The message was clear without any words being spoken. If he tried to run, they would not let him leave. The council met in emergency session. Ambassador spoke first. Has crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed, they said. He struck a child. Not once, but we now have evidence of multiple attacks on other species over the years. The humans have done more than provide evidence. They have shown us what we have been too comfortable and complacent to acknowledge, should have been removed from the council years ago. But if we remove him, we submit to human demands, another council member protested. We show weakness. We show justice, corrected. There is nothing weak about holding one of our own accountable for violence. The vote came down quickly. With no real support left, the council voted to remove from his position. He was placed in secure holding pending trial. As the guards led him away, caught sight of a monitor displaying the human warships. He realized what he had done. He realized that his actions had set in motion events that would reshape the entire balance of power in the galaxy. One human had responded to an attack on one child by calling the combined military force of his entire species, and the galaxy had found that it could not stand against it. Not because of weapons or superior technology, but because of something far more fundamental. Unity, purpose, the determination to protect their young at any cost. Watched from Meridian's observation deck as the council's decision was announced. Beside him, Sophie held his hand tightly. We did it, she whispered. Yes, said, we did, because we were united, because we believed that what happened to you mattered. On the observation screens, the human warships began to move back to their original positions. They stayed in place, but they lowered their alert status. The immediate threat had passed. Justice had been served. The first part of the battle was over. But the real message was only beginning to spread. Throughout the galaxy, every species was watching. They saw what humans would do. They understood that humanity was not the primitive threat they had believed. Humans were something different. Humans were something dangerous, not because they were violent or uncivilized, but because they were willing to unite completely and move mountains to protect their own. The reputation of humanity changed in that moment. Humans shifted from being seen as a young, weak species struggling to join a greater community. They became a force that could not be ignored, a species that would face down the entire Galactic Council to defend a single child. In trading posts and diplomatic centers and military bases throughout the known galaxy, beings of 100 different species talked about what had happened. They talked about the From Earth. They talked about the warriors who fought for justice instead of conquest. They talked about a species that was willing to cross any line to protect those they loved. That was the true power of what had done. He had not fought the Council with weapons. He had fought with purpose, with unity, with the fundamental nature of what it meant to be human. And the galaxy had learned to fear, not because of their strength, but because of their commitment to protecting their young. Sophie squeezed her father's hand as they watched the chaos of the council chamber continue through the video feed. She did not fully understand the larger implications of what had happened, but she understood one thing: the formal tribunal chamber was different from the grand council chamber. This room was smaller and more intimate. Judges representing every major species sat in a semicircle, stood in the center in full restraints that limited his movement. His forearms were bound. His legs were secured. He looked smaller somehow, as if the restraints had taken something from him beyond just freedom of movement. Sat in the observation section with Sophie. The observation area was filled with journalists and representatives from dozens of species. Every being in the galaxy was paying attention to this trial. What happened here would set precedents for how justice worked in an interstellar civilization. Dr. Lisa Warren stood first to present the evidence. She showed the video footage of the attack. She showed the medical documentation of Sophie's injuries. She presented the testimony from witnesses in the council chamber. The presentation was methodical and clear. There could be no doubt about what had happened. Then came testimony from other delegates that had attacked over the years. A scientist described being struck during a dispute over research methods. An administrator talked about being assaulted after disagreeing with in a trade negotiation. A delegate revealed that had struck her multiple times over a span of 3 years, each time claiming it was an accident or a misunderstanding. The evidence was overwhelming, had a history of violence. He had used his position and his political allies to escape consequences, and he had done it for years. One of the judges, a crystalline being like Ambassador, asked the question everyone was thinking. Why should this tribunal not find you guilty of multiple counts of assault? Looked at the judge. Because I am a member of the council, because my family has served this civilization for centuries, because a few isolated incidents do not define a being. A few isolated incidents? Another judge said. Her name was Judge, and she was a member of the species. We have documented 7 confirmed incidents of assault, possibly more. Each one was covered up or dismissed. Each one involved a younger species or a less powerful species. How is this not a systematic pattern? Said nothing. Then Sophie was asked if she wanted to speak, had prepared her for this. He had told her that she could refuse if she wanted to, but Sophie had already decided that she wanted to talk. She walked to the center of the chamber, small in the enormous space. She looked up at the judges and the observers and at himself. She was 8 years old, and she was the bravest being in the room. My name is Sophie Hayes, she said. Her voice was small but clear. I am from Earth. I came here with my father because we wanted to be friends with you, but the blue man was mean to me. He hit me because I said he was loud. It hurt. It made me scared, but my father said I did nothing wrong. He said humans are strong. And now I know he was right because the whole galaxy came to help me. And that means I am not alone, and that means the blue man cannot hurt people anymore. And that means I am brave. There was silence in the chamber. Sophie walked back to her seat, put his arm around her. Several judges had changed their expressions. What Sophie had said was not complicated. It was not a legal argument. It was simply the truth of what had happened and what it meant. Sometimes truth is more powerful than anything else. The trial continued for 3 more days. The evidence was examined from every angle. The judges asked questions. The prosecutors presented arguments. Defense was weak. He had no explanation. He had no justification. He had no allies willing to stand for him anymore. On the final day, the judges rendered their verdict. You have been found guilty of multiple counts of assault on representatives of other species. You have been found guilty of abusing your position of power. You have been found guilty of a pattern of violence that spans many years. You have been found guilty of striking a child of Earth without cause or provocation. This tribunal sentences you to 15 years of service. You will work on developing worlds inhabited by younger species. You will help build infrastructure. You will provide medical care and education. You will spend 15 years learning what it means to build instead of destroy. You will spend 15 years serving the younger species that you have looked down upon. Your rank as a council member is permanently stripped. Your political status is revoked. You will carry the mark of this conviction for the rest of your life. You may never hold a position of authority again. The gavel came down. The trial was finished. Then came the second part of the proceeding. The Council voted on Earth's membership in the Galactic Union. The vote was nearly unanimous. Earth was admitted as a full member species with all rights and protections. Was offered a permanent position as Earth's representative to the Council, but he refused. "Thank you for the honor," told the Assembly, "but I believe that Earth needs to send diplomats and specialists to represent us. I have other duties to attend to. I want to return home to Earth with my daughter and my team." "You have declined what many would see as the highest honor," Judge said. "Why?" Smiled slightly. "Because what we have accomplished here is not about one human. It is about what humans can do when we work together. I want to go home and tell my people that the galaxy sees us now, that we have earned respect, that we have shown our young what courage and unity can accomplish. That is more important than any title." That evening was asked to make a final statement before the full Galactic Council. All representatives from all species were present. The chamber was packed with observers. Stood in the center with Sophie beside him. In his hand, he held a small case. "Members of the Galactic Council," said, "when we arrived here, many of you did not believe humans had a place in your civilization. You called us primitive. You called us weak. You called us as if it was an insult. Today, I want to explain what it truly is." He opened the case. Inside was a sculpture. It was beautiful and intricate. It showed a head carved from a material that caught the light. But the head was not real. It was a symbol, a work of art. "I want to place this at your feet," said. He set the sculpture carefully on the floor of the chamber. "This represents the head of an officer who thought he could hurt one of ours. You should remember what happens when someone strikes the child of are not weak. We are not primitive. We are fierce. We are unified. We will cross any distance and face any force to protect our young. We will turn an entire species into warriors for a single child. That is what makes us dangerous. That is what makes us." He paused and looked around the chamber. "But we are not here to bring death. We are here to bring strength. We are here to bring justice. We are here to bring the commitment to family and unity that our harsh world taught us. You have your chance now to work with us, or you can choose otherwise, but know this, we will protect our own, always. That is the price of harming us, child." Took Sophie's hand and they walked from the chamber. The council sat in silence. They had seen their own fears made real. They had seen the image of head on the floor. They understood the message. Humanity was no longer a species to be dismissed. 2 weeks later, and Sophie stood on the observation deck of the human transport ship. Meridian Station fell away behind them as they headed toward Earth. Sophie had a new friend, a young named who had become fascinated with humans. She waved goodbye as the distance between them grew. "Father, will the blue man be okay on the work world?" Sophie asked. "He will be alive," said. "He will work hard and he will learn. Eventually, he will understand that strength is not about power. It is about protecting those you love." Sophie nodded as if that made perfect sense. Children often understood things that adults had to learn over years. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, looked back at the space station one more time. In the time they had been there, everything had changed. Humanity had moved from being a young, weak species trying to join a civilization to being a force that could reshape the galaxy. Not through weapons or military might, but through unity and commitment and the fierce, absolute determination to protect their young. The legend of what had happened on Meridian would spread throughout the galaxy. It would be told in 1,000 different ways by 1,000 different species, but the message would always be the same. Do not strike us, child. Do not underestimate the bonds of family. Do not mistake patience for weakness, and never ever forget what humans will do to protect those they love. Sophie fell asleep against her father's shoulder as Earth grew larger on the. She had learned something important in this galaxy full of strange beings and impossible powers. She had learned that being human meant something. Being human meant having courage. It meant being part of a family that would stand against anything and anyone. It meant being and that was enough. The end. Her father had kept his promise. He had made sure that the blue man would face justice. He had shown the entire galaxy that humans were not creatures to be dismissed. And tomorrow, the trial would begin. The galaxy began to understand that something had changed. Something was coming, and no one could stop it anymore. In the darkness of space, 7 human warships cut through the void toward Meridian Station. Each one was moving with purpose and determination. Each one carried soldiers and equipment, and the will of an entire species who had just been tested and found themselves unwilling to accept injustice. They were coming, and the galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. He stood up, holding Sophie against his chest. He walked toward the chamber doors. The council members watched him go. Some seemed to realize that they had just made a terrible mistake. Others did not understand what was about to happen. As left the chamber, he locked eyes with one final time. In that moment, the counselor saw something in his gaze that made him take a step backward. He saw what truly were. And his daughter disappeared through the doors, and the fate of the galaxy shifted on its axis. Looked down at his daughter. He did not know how to answer her. He did not know that this moment, this simple moment, would change everything that was about to happen. He did not know that the next day would bring something that would shake the entire galaxy. Some beings, said finally, do not understand that all creatures have value. That will change soon enough. He held her hand as they walked back to their quarters.